Before we jump into today's video, I want to say a huge thank you to Xbox for providing to me a code for Avowed on PC. This was a game that I was definitely looking forward to, so whenever Xbox gave me the code for Avowed, I could not have been more excited to jump into this game.
So with that disclaimer of this being a review code provided to me by Xbox, I do want to also just say that everything that I'll talk about here is definitely not paid for by Xbox or anything like that. This is all just my opinion of Avowed. So with all of that said, let's talk about Avowed.
So I know that I'm a little bit late to the party when it comes to getting out my first thoughts, my first impressions, my review out for Avowed. It's been out for a few days now, and if you've been keeping track of this game, if you like Obsidian games, you've probably either already played this game or you've seen all of the other talk about this game online. But nonetheless, I have been playing the game for a few hours now, and I do want to talk about just sort of my quick thoughts, my first impressions of Avowed.
But before we do that, I do also just want to touch on how I feel about Obsidian, and I'm a huge Obsidian fan. Obsidian Entertainment has made some of the best story-driven RPGs of the video game medium as a whole. Games like Fallout New Vegas and South Park, The Stick of Truth, and of course Pillars of Eternity are huge titles in the RPG genre. Over the last 20 plus years, Obsidian Entertainment has been a household name when it comes to Western RPGs.
Creators and storytellers like Chris Avellone have been huge inspirations in this medium for years.
I actually haven't gotten a chance to play the Pillars of Eternity games, but from what I've seen and from what I know about these games, they're incredibly well-made, story-driven CRPGs. If you're into that style of game, games like Planescape, Torment, and things like that, Pillars of Eternity is definitely a must-play in the CRPG genre. Maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't know this, but Avowed does take place in that Pillars of Eternity universe. But unlike Pillars of Eternity, this is not a CRPG. This is a first-person, single-player fantasy adventure. Many people have already drawn the comparisons to that of Skyrim in that sense.
So when it was announced that Obsidian was going back to the Pillars of Eternity universe with a first-person fantasy adventure game, I think the hype could not have been larger. Expectations were understandably incredibly high for this game, especially with The Outer Worlds doing as well as it did, but also kind of missing the mark for a lot of people. A lot of people were just excited for them to go back to doing what they do best, and that is fantasy, high fantasy adventure games. So why am I talking so much about Obsidian and their legacy and the expectations that were put on this game? Well, simply put, I was just kind of let down. Maybe you've heard it elsewhere. Maybe you've heard people give this game glowing praise. Maybe you've seen people just completely trampling over this game. But I just kind of felt like this game was the definition of a very mid game. I haven't finished the campaign. I've only put about 10 hours into my experience, but from my own personal experience just playing this game, I just don't see a ton here that is continuing to push me to go further and go deeper into this world. Unfortunately, I just don't have a ton to say about the game because I don't really feel one way or the other about it. Everything works fine, and nothing has blown me away. The art design of this world of the Pillars of Eternity franchise is interesting, but there's just something kind of uncanny about the graphic fidelity in this game, and obviously, graphics aren't everything in a game, but there's just something that's just a little awkward, kind of boring. Even though it's got the good art style, there's just something that's a little boring about just looking at the game. I'll say this, I think the first hour of this game really does put its best foot forward when it comes to teaching you how the gameplay works, dialogue tree options and things like that, just showing you, okay, here's what you're in for whenever you're going to be going throughout Avowed. I think that first hour does a pretty good job at getting you acclimated to the systems of the game. But just from my own experience, aside from just getting some new moves here and there and leveling up my character here and there, I just never found the game to actually open up in a way that is exciting. And I know when it comes to getting specific about the good things and the bad things, I feel like I'm just kind of talking in circles, like I'm not really talking about the thing that is great about this game or the thing that is bad about this game. But that's just because I personally felt that in my time playing this game, everything is just so mid. I feel like Avowed is a fairly competent first entry for somebody who has never played a big action RPG like this. But if you've played Pillars of Eternity or games like Skyrim, other sorts of first-person action RPGs like this, you're going to see that there is a lot to be desired from this game. There's not a ton that I can really say about the plot. I think, like I said, in the first hour of the game, you're acclimated to kind of what your goal is in this world. But also, this is a game that takes place in the Pillars of Eternity universe, and those first two Pillars of Eternity games and all of their DLC are very lore and story-rich game experiences. I think Avowed does a pretty good job at getting you caught up with certain terms. While you're talking to characters in the world, you can press a button that allows you to see keywords that they have said, and you can get little, I guess, textbook definitions of what they are talking about, because it's all very well established lore that they're talking about. Without that, the game can definitely feel very overwhelming and feel very, very high fantasy, and if you're just not ready to hop into something that you're not already very familiar with, this game can feel very daunting even whenever it comes to its story. I don't know, I think that I personally would rather jump back into this game after I have played Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, simply for its story alone. I don't personally like this idea of jumping into what is technically the third game in a story-driven series, even though you can play this game as a standalone addition to the Pillars of Eternity universe. I think obviously the creators, they designed this world to be tied in to the Pillars of Eternity games. So I think it does help if you go into this game having played those first. Man, I wish that there was just more that I could really say about this game. I wish I had more of a hard opinion on the mechanics of its gameplay or of its plot and things like that, but everything about the game so far just has not pulled me in to keep on going. So for right now, I'm gonna shelf this game. I'm not going to finish this game at least until I finish Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2. When that will happen, I don't know. But again, thank you so much to Xbox for sending me a review code for this game. I'm glad that I got to play it a little bit. It's the biggest RPG out right now, or at least Western first-person action adventure RPG, in this genre. So I don't know. I think a lot of people at this point are just going to cross their fingers and hope that maybe The Outer Worlds 2 is a better experience. I'm not totally sure. If I sound kind of rambly and all over the place right now, I have a newborn baby right now, so I just wanted to make sure that I got this video out to you guys just to let you know, hey, I've been playing this game, here's kind of what I think about it. Maybe y'all feel the same way. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about Avowed. Have you played it? Have you played the Pillars of Eternity games? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and while you're down there, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell as well so that you're notified whenever new videos like this go up. And while you're doing that, go ahead into the description box below and consider joining the Discord. There's a lot of other people in there who are like-minded like us, who love story-driven video games or action RPGs, turn-based RPGs, things like that. If that's you and you want to join another group of like-minded individuals who love games like this, go ahead and join the Discord down in the description box below. But guys, that's it. Like I said, just wanted to get my quick thoughts out there on Avowed. I do want to eventually play this game and really give it another fair chance, but like I said, because it's in this Pillars of Eternity world and those games are so well loved and well reviewed, I do want to play those games before I dive deep into the lore that is contained in Avowed, just because, I don't know, I feel like there's just something that I'm missing that could help my appreciation more, if that makes sense. So anyways, I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.